What's up, everybody? Welcome into my MLB 16 The Show franchise mode with the Chicago White Sox. This is game number 19 of the 2016 season. And if you couldn't already tell by now, this is a 14-minute video. So I got to figure out stuff to talk about for 14 minutes. We got Matt Latos on the mound in this one. He is 1-2 with a 4.03 earned run average through 3 games, 22 1/3 innings, 26 hits, a couple other stats that I didn't catch. Colby Lewis for the Rangers is 1-2. He's got an 8.53 ERA through 12 2/3 innings, so pretty terrible so far. I bring it up every Matt Latos start, but I edited his videos in a way that every clip of him pitching starts on the same frame of his delivery animation, just because I thought that would be funny. So started this game off with a couple defensive miscues, because, make it interesting, am I right? But we will find out later that these come back to haunt us, as the score at the end of the game is close enough that these would have been a big difference. All right, so the Chicago Cubs played in the World Series last night. Game 2, as we all know, they lost the first game, as there we see Jose Abreu cranking a mammoth shot into the left field bleachers. Lost the first game 6-0 to the Indians. Corey Kluber and Andrew Miller just absolutely dominated the Cubs, made them all look silly and like the young kids that they are. But the Cubs come out in Game 2 against Trevor Bauer, and they do not mess around. Kyle Schwarber, who everybody was super critical of the Cubs putting Schwarber in the lineup. The majority of the opinions that I saw from people were, why are the Cubs doing this? Like, this is such a mistake. Of course, there are people that are like, yeah, Schwarber, woo! But the people that I saw wanted the Cubs to err on the side of caution, because obviously this player is something special. He's a guy that could get a good return in a trade if he's healthy, and there's just a lot of things that you need to look at when you make a decision like this. So the fact that he hadn't faced Major League pitching in 6 months, obviously not phasing him. He had 2 runs batted in last night on 2 separate RBI base knocks. So Schwarber coming through in the clutch, already, I guess, going down as one of the best players in Cubs postseason history. I know that he already leads the Cubs all time in postseason home runs, which was a stat that surprised me. But yeah, the Schwarbernator dude is crazy. Jake Arrieta started for the Cubs last night, and he did pretty well. Obviously, he took a no-hitter into the 6th inning. I believe he made it 5 1/3. So got an out in the 6th inning before that was broken up. So unfortunate, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. As you can see by the score here, the Rangers are up 7-1 over the White Sox. So a lot of work needs to be done for the White Sox to come back in this one. Here we got Jerry Sands with a double that splits the outfielders and gets to the wall. Jerry Sands is one of my favorite players in this franchise, and I don't know why. I like his batting stance. I know that people were really big on him and high on him when he was out in Los Angeles as a Dodgers prospect. It didn't really pan out the way that he was supposed to. Kind of ended up on the White Sox. Didn't get that much playing time on the South Side, but he's getting a bunch of playing time in this franchise mode because I think that he's a good player, and he's been performing pretty well for me so far. So that just gives me all the more reason to put him in the lineup. So back to the Cubs. Like I said, Arrieta took a no-hitter into the 6th inning. The Cubs ended up winning the game by a score of 5-1, as there is Jose Abreu's 2nd home run of the ball game. This one a 3-run shot. So the score is now 7-4 Rangers, as the White Sox are slowly chipping away at that lead that the Rangers put together. Okay, so got 10 minutes to go. What do I want to talk about? If you didn't listen, I talked about it yesterday. The Word on 35th Street is a podcast that I host for a website called Southside Showdown. If you haven't checked out that website, go check it out. It's in the Fansided network. Fansided is owned by Time and Sports Illustrated, and they got partnerships with Fox and Fox Sports and all that good stuff. So it's a legit website. And cool story about my involvement with Fansided and Southside Showdown is that I was actually the editor of Southside Showdown 5 years ago, and I kind of had to step down in order to focus on school. Things were getting really crazy for me with school at the time, and I had a super high workload, and I couldn't dedicate the time necessary to the website, especially because I was like one of 2 writers at the time. Fansided was just getting established, and Southside Showdown needed writers. And while I was happy to do it, I knew that it needed someone who had more time. And so I stepped down in order to focus on school. Back in June of this year, so fast forward 5 years, I emailed Fansided and I said that I wanted to get back into writing. And they plugged me into Southside Showdown immediately with like barely any interview process, because things are a lot different there now than they were 5 years ago. But I guess they remembered me, and they were excited to have me back on the team. So I'm now writing for Southside Showdown again. And the cool thing about that this time is that I also host our podcast, The Word on 35th Street, with Owen Schoenfeld. I will put links to our Twitters in the description. There is Abreu's 3rd home run of this ball game. For those of you keeping score at home, he now has 3 home runs and 5 runs batted in this game against the Rangers. So we've Owen and I have done 6 episodes of the Word on 35th Street podcast, and we've gotten some great reception so far. I know I've gotten some comments on a couple of these White Sox videos about you guys who have listened to the Word on 35th Street, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate the fact that you guys are willing to listen to Owen and I ramble on and on and on about the White Sox for an hour and 15 minutes or so. But we are proud of the podcast that we've put together, and establishing a following of any kind always is a good feeling. So thank you guys for listening. If you have listened, thank you for reading. If you have read, if you have not done either of those things, it would mean a whole lot to both of us if you would check it out. Podcasting is something that I've always been super interested in. I grew up listening to the radio, WSCR here in Chicago, The Score. They're the local sports radio station. The show that I remember listening to the most was hosted by Lawrence Holmes and Dan Zampillo, and it was called The Me and Z Show. And I never missed. I was tuning in every weekday night, and I always listened to their show. And those are the guys that kind of got me into sports radio, because I always had this like bad taste in my mouth when it came to talk radio, and I just didn't want to listen to people babble on and on about whatever, because anytime I was in the car with my dad, he would turn on 720 or 780 or 890, and it was just all news and stuff that I didn't care about. Then I discovered baseball and sports, and it kind of blew my mind that there were radio stations dedicated to talking about sports. And I fell in love with the radio. So it would make sense that as I got older and as the technology developed, podcasting would be something that I would be interested in. Naturally, I would listen to games on the radio, Cubs and Sox games. I listen to Blackhawks games. I occasionally listen to the Bulls, even though I feel like listening to basketball on the radio is a lot harder to listen to than hockey on the radio, but that's just my opinion. I never really got into football, so I didn't listen to the Bears too much, but I wanted to hear what a football game sounded like on the radio, and I wanted to hear all these different styles when it came to different sports. I should probably talk about the game right here. We got Jerry Sands up with a runner on second base, and Jerry Sands will knock a home run into left field. I love this kid, Jerry Sands, my boy. Him and Tyler Saladino are just, they're doing so great for me in this franchise mode. And I'm going to keep them around for a while, whether they're starting or they're on the bench. But yeah, rest assured, Jerry Sands, he's a staple of this White Sox lineup. He's the keystone. He keeps it all together. Cornerstone, not keystone. What? Keystone? What? Hang on. Keystone's a thing, right? Isn't that that's the rock at like the top of an entryway? I gotta look this up. Keystone, Keystone, rock. I'm pretty sure that's a real thing. Keystone. Yep, it's that little stone at the top of an arched entryway. All right. So anyway, podcasting, I like it. I'm doing it. Owen and I enjoy it. So please listen to our podcast. Jose Abreu will end the game with a fly out to left field. So the Sox get so close. We lose by 1 run. Final score of 8-7. So I've had many people comment over the course of the last 18 videos. When are you going to do a trade? Is there any trades coming up? Well, we'll see after the game here. Kind of browsing the trading block. But I'll start talking about it now. Matt Latos was a guy that I wasn't really interested in keeping, as was Jimmy Rollins. I am starting Tyler Saladino at shortstop, and Jimmy Rollins was just coming off of the bench to pinch hit occasionally and give Saladino a day off. I'm not going to call up Tim Anderson just yet. He's going to stay in the minor leagues. I don't know what I'm going to do in terms of middle infield depth. I think I'm only 1 deep at each position in the infield, but I have like 17 catchers on the Major League roster, so I'm going to have to do some switching around as far as that is concerned. But Latos and Rollins, I wanted to put them together in a package deal. So I went over to the trading block and looked and saw what all the teams had to offer. We'll come up here in a second. We'll see me navigating the menus a little bit and taking a look at players. But I wanted to upgrade the catcher position, even though I know I just talked about having 17 catchers on the lineup or on the roster. Deoner Navarro and Mike Avila are just not doing it for me. So I saw that the Brewers are shopping around Jonathan Lucroy, and I wanted to see what I could put together and try to get him from those Brewers. So, I thought Matt Latos, maybe, even though he's just coming off of a terrible start against the Rangers, and Jimmy Rollins. So I put them together in a trade. I think I tried to put another player in there just to unload and make the offer a little bit more appealing to Milwaukee. But turns out they were okay with just Matt Latos and Jimmy Rollins. So I'll end up taking off this Charlie Shrek, and and just send Matt Latos and Jimmy Rollins to the Brewers for Jonathan Lucroy. So from this video forward, Jonathan Lucroy is the starting catcher of the Chicago White Sox. So, yay, I made a trade. Go me. I hope you guys are okay with that trade. He's a very good catcher. Whole heck of a lot better than Avila and Navarro. And I feel way more confident when he comes up to the plate than I do when they come up to the plate. So as we can see here, take a look at his abilities. He's got a B potential, 78 overall. As you can see from his hot and cold zone, he creams lefties and righties. He can hit anything, anywhere. He's got good contact versus lefties and righties. His power is about middle of the pack. 84 vision is something that I really like. That is the hitting reticle that you see that moves around the strike zone and allows you to reach the pitches. So 84 vision, or whatever his vision was, that's very appealing to me. You can see that he's not entirely happy with being on the White Sox, but I think as the season progresses, that'll change. You can see that his anger is affecting his overall ability. So while he would naturally be an 82 overall, his angry state is actually taking 4 points off of his overall rating. But like I said, as the season progresses and as the White Sox get better, I believe that will change. So yes, Jonathan Lucroy is the starting catcher for your Chicago White Sox. He's wearing jersey number 30, or not 30, 20, not 30. And as you guys will see in tomorrow's video, he contributes right away. So, little spoiler there for you. Jonathan Lucroy on the White Sox. Leave me your comments. Let me know what you think. Go Sox. Talk to you guys tomorrow.